Welcome to Raw Sports Takes with your host, Miguel Sanchez. Today is Friday the 29th. Oh, shit. Sorry. Friday the 27th, 2024. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the Cowboys game from last night, from Thursday night against the Giants. We're going to recap that game. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Then we're going to get to the picks of this week, week 4 picks. And then before all that, we're also going to talk about a little bit about the Oakland A's leaving Oakland. And before we get talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk a little bit also. But before we talk all about all that stuff, we're going to talk about the kid, the quarterback, the UNLV quarterback, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. The quarterback, Matthew, I'm pretty sure I'm going to slaughter his name though. I'm going to say Sloka, I believe. Sloka? Anyways, Matthew, the quarterback, that's that kid that just sat down. Decided to not play anymore. UNLV, if you don't follow college football, they're ranked 25th in the NCAA, and they're also undefeated 3-0, I believe. My thoughts on that is that he apparently, they stated that he was promised some money, some NIL money, and it was a verbal agreement. It was not anything contract, anything written or anything. It was by lawyers or anything. It was just verbal between him and the school. Probably a booster or something like that. And then they didn't come up with the money or come up with everything else, so they decided just to leave, just sit down and leave his teammates pretty much hanging there. My thoughts on that, if it was high school, I would say that's pretty bad. You're developing bad habits. You're letting your team down. You're letting the teammates down, especially they had nothing else to do with it. But in reality, college football, it's always been a business, has been a business. It's $1 billion business. And to me, that's just business doing business. The kid's trying to do what is best for him, and he was promised something. And if he's telling the truth and that promise didn't come through, then, hey, he had to leave. He had to sit down. I got nothing wrong against that. I'm a big believer that players should get paid. When you're bringing in billions of dollars or millions of dollars to schools from boosters and everything, then you should get paid for that. I mean, that is work you're putting in. I hate people that give me this bullshit. They're like, well, wouldn't you play for free if you could? I'm like, yes, of course I would, but I'm not talented like those players. And nobody will want me to play for their college, first of all, because I suck. I don't have that talent. So first of all, yes, I would love to play for free, but that's because I suck. If I actually was talented and actually did something, then yeah, I would like to get paid for it. I mean, you don't go to work and say, well, I will work for free. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't work for free. You will want to get paid, especially when they're making a crap load of money from you. That's why the players should get paid. I think that's a bunch of BS that for the longest time they were not getting paid. It was just pretty much free labor. And especially if you went to a night like, for example, Ivy League school like Brown, Yale, Harvard, schools like that, they do not offer scholarships. And they also, I don't think they play players from last time I checked when I was up there in Rhode Island. So they actually go for the school there for the prestigious academic stuff there. And that's more understandable, and that's kind of like a true student athlete because he is a student first and then an athlete. That's how it is, should always be when you're going to college. Once they start making money off of it, especially one big example is like Johnny Manziel when he went to Texas A&M. I believe Texas A&M at the time was sucking, wasn't making any money. All of a sudden they beat Alabama in that one game, and all of a sudden the boosters, just the money started pouring in. And that's when pretty much Johnny Manziel built the stadium addition and all these stadium renovations to Kyle Field is because of Johnny Manziel. If the Johnny Manziel was not in that team and they have not played well, him and Mike Evans also. I got to give Mike Evans some credit on that. They probably would not have done that. That's why the one thing I do hate about college sports, I do hate the portal system. The transfer portal system. If you don't know anything about that, pretty much back in the day, the way that it used to be, if you wanted to get out of the school, like for example, I want to say Baker Mayfield did this. When he transferred out of Texas Tech and went to Oklahoma, he had to sit out a year and then he started playing for Oklahoma. But that used to be the rule. It used to be that you had to sit out for at least 1 year, when you transfer from one school to another, and then you got to play at it. That's why a lot of schools, a lot of student athletes didn't really leave the school because they did not want to sit out for 1 year. Because that 1 year they could either be forgotten, or that 1 year they could come back and be real rusty and suck, and it hurt their chances of going pro. I like that idea better, and I wish they went back to that idea. I hate the transfer portal where you pretty much your whole roster, 30% of it or 50% of it is pretty much players that weren't there last year that were at another school. I think that's bad as far as keeping continuity and keeping the players together. But those are my thoughts on that. I could see both sides. I could see the side of UNLV saying that he should honor him being there and playing for the team, and he's letting his team down. But I also see his other side too, that business is business, and you got to do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to look out for you. Nobody really is going to look out for you except you. You and probably your closest family, and even family will screw you over. So the kid had to do what he had to do, and that's my thoughts on that. Now, on the Oakland A's leaving, the Athletics leaving there, Oakland. That's kind of sad, especially because I live in San Antonio here. It's a small city. Well, it's considered big, I think it's number 7 overall in population size. But it has a small town mentality, and the only professional team we have here is the San Antonio Spurs. We hate to see for the Spurs to leave, and that's why I kind of feel bad for Oakland. Of course, Oakland, a lot of people point to that, well, 3 teams have left Oakland. The Golden State Warriors, they used to be in Oakland. Oracle Arena, I believe, was used to play. Now they're playing Chase, which is in San Francisco. And then the other team, of course, is the Oakland Raiders, who left and went to the Las Vegas. And now the Oakland A's, which I believe they're going to Sacramento. Now, a lot of people point and say, well, you can always go to San Francisco and always you can watch professional sports there. But from what I hear, I've never been there. It's a total different world, crossing the bridge, going from Oakland to one side of the bay to the other side of the bay. It's a different world. It's like you're visiting a different state. So I can see why Oakland's a little bit pissed off and a little bit angry about it. Again, business is business on that one. Also, it's kind of like I hate a lot of things, and this is going to be like a rant, but I hate that taxpayers have to pay money to build a stadium for a billionaire to keep his team there. Of course, I get the economic part also where they bring in a lot of money. For example, the San Antonio Spurs, I think they're value more now that when Wembanyama's on the team than before, and it's economically has affected the city quite a bit. More people go to games, more people spend money, more people come to travel to San Antonio because of Wembanyama because they want to watch him. But at the same time, I think it's wrong. It's morally wrong for you to charge taxpayers to build a stadium for a billionaire or just to have a sports team. And especially when it's probably half the population in San Antonio or more than that don't go to the Spurs game because they're expensive. It's expensive. It's a luxury to have. I personally have season tickets to the Spurs games for only half the season, though, not the whole season. And they're pretty damn pricey. They're super expensive. I'm on a payment plan. So don't think that I'm rich or that I'm freaking throwing money out there either. It sucks for them. I wish they wouldn't have moved. It's going to be weird to call them the Sacramento A's. It's just weird in general to call another team like, I still have trouble calling the Oakland City Thunder, the Oakland City Thunder. To me, in my eyes, when I was growing up, I still see them as the Seattle Supersonics. And I just like the name Seattle Supersonics. And that's a perfect example for Seattle. They have never gone basketball ever again ever since they left. I wish they would get another basketball team. And I wish they would be named as Seattle Supersonics all over again. That would be kind of fun. The Oakland Raiders, it's hard to say Las Vegas Raiders. So I kind of feel bad for them in that sense. Those are my thoughts just on the Oakland A's. Now let's get back to the game last night. If you're a Cowboys fan, it's kind of a slow clap in reality. Like, good. You beat up on a bottom 10 team, probably a bottom 5 team. At the end of the day, it's going to be the Giants. Let's be real. Daniel Jones did play a pretty good, decent game. He didn't make too many stupid mistakes, and they actually were moving the ball quite a bit, and I believe they held the time of possession was a lot longer for the Giants than it was for the Cowboys. So Daniel Jones played pretty well. Now, why they decided to rush the ball the way they rushed the ball, or maybe it was the Cowboys, or maybe they just suck at rushing like the Cowboys suck at rushing, but they only had 26 yards total rushing. So I don't know if that's Cowboys or that's Giants. I don't know if that's either one. I don't know, give or take on that one. But other than that, the game was pretty boring. Me personally, I said it before. I hate Thursday night games. Thursday night games suck. There's always a lot of injuries, and there was a lot of injuries again. I believe Michael Parsons hurt his ankle. I don't know if he faked the injury so he could start his podcast earlier, because apparently he loves podcasting and not playing football. But they're going to do an MRI today, so he actually might have been injured. Malik Neighbors got hurt there. He was having a good game. He got hurt. Got a concussion. He was out. Trevon Diggs apparently is not in football shape, or he went out drinking the night before because he needed an IV. Because I never understood that about football players or about professional players. If you're a professional player, you should be properly hydrated at all times. But it happens. Luckily, it wasn't nothing major injury. He had to get an IV. He came back. The other one was DeMarcus Lawrence also got hurt in that game. So that's one of those biggest things about Thursday night footballs that I hate. It's the product is not good. It was not good football. 20 Cowboys ended up winning, but it was just not a good game in general. Pretty much you had the feeling that whoever scored a touchdown was going to win that game. That's pretty much what everybody really thought. And Cowboys were favored by 5.5 points, I believe, which it's kind of crazy to think about it because they won by 5 points. So if you pick the spread, the 5.5, the Cowboys did not cover the spread. It's always amazing to me how Vegas can bet on the games and get them pretty almost accurately correct, perfectly correct there. But it was just one of those things of it was not competitive in my view. 20-15. It was a terrible game to watch. I got to give it to Dak. Dak probably deserves the MVP of that game. He was 22 out of 27, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked really good. He actually did. He threw some really good passes there where the guy wasn't open, but he threw him pretty much open and got him the ball. Pretty much if you stuck your hands out there, the ball was going to get there. So I got to admit, but I never had nothing against Dak Prescott as far as regular season. I never have had anything about the regular season, just postseason. Postseason, if you're watching the game, they put up a stat. He was 2 for 5 in the playoffs, which is winning percentage is second worst of all time in playoffs. That's pretty pathetic. So that's the issue with me and him, and not with me and him, but with me and in general Cowboy fans that are really they look at the game is that Dak Prescott, yes, he is great. He is paying $60 million a year, but when you get paid that kind of money, you need playoff success. Regular season games, I never had an issue. Regular season games, you're always going to win it. That's the way that you work. You have always played well in regular seasons, but when it counts the most is when you pretty much shit the bed. CeeDee Lamb had a really good game too. Also, he had 7 receptions, I believe, 98 yards, 1 touchdown. Especially that bomb he had, that 55-yarder, that was pretty good. That was a really good move. He went in there. I guess there's some frustration there build up. You can tell because he got that flag, which brings me to the team got penalized a lot. 11 penalties for 89 yards. Should have been 12 for over 100 yards. That face mask, I don't know if you were watching that game where they call the face mask on the offensive player on the Giants that were driving the ball there in the first, I think the first or second drive, they were driving the ball pretty well into the Cowboys territory. And they got caught for a face mask on number 82. But when they show the replay, it was number 13 on the Cowboys. It was a linebacker instead. He was doing it the whole time. And even the announcers were confused of why on there. Either Jerry Jones played those refs very well and should have been penalized more, or I don't know what happened there. The refs, all of them had a brain fart. And they must feel dumb waking up this morning looking at that play. But would that change the game? I don't know. Maybe the Giants score there and it becomes 7-3 or 14 or 7 or 13-3. I don't know. But let's be real. The Giants are a bad team. The Cowboys. If you're a Cowboys fan, this game it's good. You gotta win, but it does not. It's not a satisfaction. You did not get any satisfaction out of the game. There's still a lot of holes in that team. You still believe that, in my opinion, they're not competitors. You had a lot of holes as far as like left tackle, Guyton. That guy just needs some help. For the love of God, Cowboys staff. I can see it. I'm watching on the couch. The guy's getting destroyed there as left tackle. Get him some help. Get him chip on Burns or on Thibodeau. He got 2 penalties there. It was hard to watch there, that play. And then the rushing game was pretty much non-existent also for the Cowboys. I believe they rushed for less than 100 yards. It was 23 carries, I believe, for 80 yards. Even though I kind of like what they did there at the end, they really rushed the ball 3 times, got a first, or 6 times, I believe. They got a first down, and they were going to kick the field goal, and Aubrey should have made, but apparently Aubrey only likes making field goals that are longer than 55-yarders. Apparently, if they're shorter than that, he misses, and he missed it. And then for a while there, if you're a Cowboys fan, you did get that feeling. You're like, here we go. They're going to fucking blow the game right now. The Giants are going to drive it and score a damn touchdown. But luckily, Giants didn't have any much time, and luckily the quarterback is Daniel Jones. And besides, like I said, he played very well during the game. He played above average of what Daniel Jones is expected to play. Daniel Jones sucks. Let's be real. And he ended up sucking there at the end. Luckily for Cowboys. If it was anybody else, I think not named Daniel Jones or Will Levis or Bryce Young, I think the Cowboys could have lost that game easily. Other than that, that was pretty much about it. Like I said, Dak Prescott played a great game. And that's all. Those are my thoughts on that game. Like I said, slow cap. You beat up on a team that you should have beat up on. You should have won by more than damn 5 points. You should have beat them 32-15. Defense still has a lot of holes. Defense has a lot of injuries. Luckily, they're going to get 10 days. See if Mike Zimmer could actually work something out. Maybe it's just scheme and they just need to get used to it. On the Giants side, this year is going to be one of those years where they're just going to throw it away. You're looking to get another top 5 pick. That's what you want to do. You're looking to get another top 5 pick. Your best scenario is Daniel Jones turns into something that he's not and maybe plays very well. And then that's basically the worst case scenario is you're looking at draft another quarterback next year. Or I don't know what you're doing. You try to trade Daniel Jones. Something's going to have to happen with the Giants. But they're a bottom feeder, so they're going to end up in the bottom. So now we're going to move on to picks. Had a terrible week last week. 7 for 8. Terrible. But there was a lot of upsets. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people did not have Broncos over Tampa Bay. I did have the Texans losing, though. I did have that upset. But other than that, I had a terrible week. 7 for 8. 7 wins, 8 losses. It's terrible. For the whole year, I'm 25 wins and 21 losses. So 25 and 21, which is not too terrible. It gets better. It'll get better. Like I said, the beginning of the season is kind of hard to predict because there's a lot of teams that come out of nowhere. There's a lot of upsets. There's a lot of weirdness. And this year has been super freaking weird. If you were to tell me the top quarterback was going to be Sam Darnold, I would have thought you're high. It's just a weird. If you would have told me freaking Travis Kelce has only 39 yards catching for the whole year, but the freaking Kansas City Chiefs are 3-0, I would have said, well, Kelce, I guess, is hurt then. No, Kelce is not hurt. Kelce is just fat. Yes, I believe Kelce is just damn out of shape and just fat. And he'll get into shape and eventually they'll get better. But I digress. Let's go back to the picks. First game up is going to be New Orleans versus the Falcons. That should be an easy one. I think the Falcons should win that one. It's at their home place. It's in Atlanta. New Orleans, I still don't know what to think of them. I don't know if Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr, or Crash Cars like to call him, and got things right, or he just went back to what he is from the last game. Don't know. They did score 12 points last game, so that was kind of weird. And they only managed 219 yards in the last game against the Eagles. I don't know if I don't know what to think about the Saints. I really don't know. I wish I knew more, but I just don't believe in them. I believe more in Atlanta right now, and I think Atlanta wins that game easily. I think they win there by 6 points. It's just going to get better. It looks like Atlanta's getting better and better, and they're finding the groove, and I think Kirk Cousins is actually moving a little bit better now, so I think that will happen there. So I'll take Atlanta on that one. Next one up, Bengals versus Panthers. The only reason I will watch this game is just to watch Joe Burrow. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan, as you know. I think Carolina Panthers. I think Andy Dalton's Cinderella story. It hits midnight. It hits midnight, and I think they lose. And I think they lose terribly. I think Cincinnati gets their first win, and maybe they start putting wins together in a row, and they might go to the playoffs. I think if somebody can get them to the playoffs, it's Joe Burrow. Last time I checked, only 3 teams have ever come back from an 0-3 deficit and made the playoffs. Maybe they'll make it 4. But I'll take Cincinnati on that one because they have definitely the better talent, even though they're 0-3. And Andy Dalton, they'll prepare for Andy Dalton. Unlike the Raiders, apparently the Raiders forgot they were playing them last week. So I'll take Cincinnati on that one. The next one up is Rams versus Bears. I'll take the Rams. I cannot bet against Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. They played very well last game. They beat a 49ers team. The 49ers should have beat up on them. It looks like, from what I've read and looked up, I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to have his 2 weapons again. They're going to be without Puka again and without Cooper Kupp. But I think the Rams still have enough firepower to beat the Rams. Now, the more I watch the Chicago Bears, the more I think their coaching staff is garbage. I don't believe in the coaching staff. I do believe in Caleb Williams, but I don't believe in the coaching staff. The coaching staff has done everything and anything to ruin him, and they're doing it again. The last 3 games have been terrible just to watch. The kid is just running for his life. They're not making it simple for him. They probably have the 3rd worst. I believe they have bottom 5 rushing attack. The Bears have. So they have a terrible, he's not getting any help from the offensive line. He's not getting any help from the rushing. So they'll lose this game, and they'll lose it. I don't know if they'll lose it terribly, but I think they lose this game. The Rams should win this game pretty easily. Next game. This probably much if the next game is Minnesota Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. If the Green Bay Packers get Jordan Love back, this might be a good game. If it's Malik Willis, I think the Packers are still a little bit competitive, but I think the Vikings pull it off because just the Vikings are on a tear. Sam Darnold is on a tear. That defense, that Brian Flores defense of Minnesota is on a tear. They are just creating havoc on players. If you could create havoc on C.J. Stroud and make C.J. Stroud have his 3rd worst QBR rating game of all time, you're doing something right. And then before that, you may pretty look like Mr. Irrelevant, and then you're doing something right. So I think for that reason, Minnesota has a better defense. Right now, they have the better quarterback if Jordan Love doesn't play. If Jordan Love plays, I think he is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. Because Sam Darnold is he's playing lights out, though. He is playing lights out, and he still does have Justin Jefferson. So it might be something. And they do have Aaron Jones, who Aaron Jones has been playing very well. But Minnesota, I think Minnesota wins this game either way. Either way, if Jordan Love plays, it's competitive. If he doesn't play, I don't think he's going to be too competitive at all. So I'll take Minnesota on that one. Next game, and plus is in Minnesota. Minnesota's a hard place to play. Jacksonville Jaguars at Houston Texans. This is an unwatchable game. Trevor Lawrence, I lost all hope for him. It's an easy game. Texans win this one, and they win that by a blowout. Plus, they're favored by almost a touchdown, 6.5 points. So that should be a pretty easy game for the Texans to win, and I think it's unwatchable. There's no point in watching that game. You're better off watching highlights, unless you're a Texans fan, of course. Next game is Pittsburgh Steelers as Indianapolis Colts. Another unwatchable game. Pittsburgh should win this easily. They have the best defense in the NFL. They just need to kick 4 field goals, maybe even 3 field goals in this game, because Anthony Richardson, I like him. He's very raw, but he makes some of the worst throws, and then he throws a nice bomb once in a while. But I think he's going to have trouble with this defense. This defense throws a lot of good quarterbacks. So Pittsburgh wins this easily, and they are favored by 1.5. Next game is Denver Broncos and New York Jets. The Jets are favored by 7.5 points. Pretty much says that they're going to whoop the crap out of the Broncos, and I think they do. The defense is kind of getting it together. The only thing they might say the Denver Broncos, if the Denver Broncos can get a rushing attack, we learned that the Jets are pretty vulnerable in the rushing 2 weeks before last week, the first 2 weeks in the NFL. But I don't think... like I said, I don't think Broncos are that good. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. And it's kind of like a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers. He apparently does not like Sean Payton very much. Because, of course, Sean Payton made some comments about his coach, Hackett, or whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But Jets will win that one easily. I'll take the Jets. Next game, Philadelphia Eagles at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles are favored by 1.5 points. That's a toughie because I don't know. This is kind of like the Bucs and Eagles are in the same category as the Saints. I don't know what to think of them. Will Baker Mayfield play well, or will he play like he played last game? Will the Eagles figure it out and actually start using Saquon Barkley, or as I like to call him, Saquon these nuts? Are they going to have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and I think Lane Johnson also is in there? It's hurt. If that's the case, Jalen Hurts will only have Dallas Goedert to throw to. If that's the case, then the Bucs win. So I would take the Bucs on this game. And they're at home, so I'll take the Bucs because there's less injuries on the Bucs side than there is on the Eagles side. The Eagles apparently got bit hard by the injury bug there, where all their top players are getting hurt, but they still do have Saquon these nuts Barkley, so maybe they'll just rush the ball a lot and they'll win, especially as I believe Vita Vea is back on the Buccaneers, so that's going to make it a little bit harder for them to rush. For that reason, I'll take the Bucs. I'll take the Bucs on that one, less injuries on that side, and it'll be a close one. This is going to be a real close game, I believe. And then just the same questions again. I have no idea what to think of these two teams. They're not there. Next up is going to be Washington Commanders at Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 3.5 points. I'll take the Cardinals on this one. Cardinals have been playing very competitive the last game. I know they lost against the Lions, but they play very competitive. Before that game, they played against the Bills. Kyler Murray did very well there in the first half, and the Bills are probably the closest team to more complete than any other team. So they played them very well and lost by a little bit there. So I'll take the Cardinals. Cardinals have been surprisingly very, very competitive in these games. So we'll see what happens with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is kind of fun to watch. I just do not like him getting hit so much. That boy's getting hit a lot, especially on that one touchdown throw. I thought they broke him in half. They folded him like a lawn chair, but he got up and he got going. So we'll see what happens. But I'll take the Cardinals on that one. Next game is New England Patriots at San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are favored by 10.5 points. Whoa, that's probably the biggest spread of this week. 10.5 points. They are favored by a lot. I don't see the 49ers losing 2 in a row. I see them actually beating the New England Patriots pretty easily. If we learned something from the Patriots last game is they can't handle blitzes. They can freaking pretty much block any kind of blitz. And that's what the Jets threw them. They just threw an extra defender in there, and they were just getting to the quarterback really fast. So I think they're a little bit competitive there at the first, New England, but eventually San Francisco pulls away and beats the crap out of them. So it should be. And you got to remember, 49ers still have Fred Warner. And they still have a pretty decent defense. And Jacoby Brissett is not an elite quarterback or even a good quarterback. He's a below average quarterback. So it should be an easy win. I see why they're favored a lot. Next game. So I'll take, like I said, San Francisco. Kansas City Chiefs at Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers at Chargers. It's hard to say. I keep thinking, going back to the Oakland A's things, I keep always saying San Diego Chargers. And that's just the way I grew up watching them. LaDainian Tomlinson, Junior Seau back in the day. I still remember that. And you will catch me once in a while slipping and saying San Diego Chargers. But, anywho, back to the game. Chiefs are favored by 7 points or a touchdown. The status of Justin Herbert is up in the air. I don't know if he plays. If he does play, maybe they keep it competitive. If he doesn't play, it looks like Tyler Heinicke is going to play, which means they're also going to be without both of their offensive tackles. So it's going to be a slaughter fest. I mean, you're still talking to Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And this defense is playing very good. So, yeah, it's going to be a slaughter fest on whoever. And looking at this game more now that I think about it, without the 2 offensive tackles, I wouldn't even if Justin Herbert wants to play, I would not play him. you're missing 2 of your offensive tackles, you're going to get slaughtered. So Patrick Mahomes probably doesn't have to do much. Travis Kelce, you could take a break, drink some beers, hang out with Taylor Swift probably and you probably are not needed. Which brings me to, well, I'm going to rant a little bit about Travis Kelce here. Travis Kelce, if you're listening to this, that's cool, man. That's cool. You hang out with probably the most popular person in the world, and it's cool that it looks like you still play. I watched the game, but it looks like you're out of shape, my man. So that's kind of scary that you're out of shape. I say it's scary in a sense that it's scary for the other teams, not for you. I say it's scary for the other team. If you're 3-0 and you're winning with a Travis Kelce that's out of shape, eventually he's gonna get into shape because he's practicing and he's at the games. And he's running, so he's eventually going to get into football shape, as they say. And if he gets into football shape, and that's probably when the playoffs start, then it's going to be pretty scary. And this team could actually probably three-peat. I don't know if it's kind of like the sandbagging it, and the Chiefs are sandbagging people right now. But if they're sandbagging people and they're beating you, it's going to be an interesting team. They're in the playoffs, and they might be the one that pull off the three-peat. They might have pulled it off, but we'll see as the season goes. But I'll go with Kansas City on this one. Travis Kelce, please get better. Cleveland Browns at the Raiders. I want to call them Oakland Raiders, see, because I was talking about that earlier. The Raiders are favored by 2 points, it looks like. It's going to be competitive game, but the Raiders should win this one. It looks like Antonio Pierce is pissed the hell off, and I think he brings that kind of energy to the game, and he has his team prepared. And let's be real, as long as Deshaun Watson is being the quarterback of the Browns could lose almost every single game. So I could see that going. And it looks like Myles Garrett is also hurt. He's hobbling, and he apparently says he's going to have to need surgery on both ankles at the end of the season goes. So you're losing your best player on the defense. Your quarterback is Deshaun Watson, and Antonio Pierce is pretty pissed. So, yeah, I take the Chargers easily on that one. And it's probably an unwatchable game. I wouldn't waste too much of my time. Now, let's get to the game of the week. The game of the week is going to be definitely Buffalo Bills at Baltimore Ravens. That is definitely the game of the week. Ravens are favored by 2.5. This is going to be a very interesting game because the Raiders, not the Raiders, but could the Baltimore Ravens put 2 games in a row and win 2 games in a row? Put that rushing attack that they put on the Cowboys. Unfortunately for the Ravens, you're not playing the Cowboys again, so you're not going to have that kind of rushing attack. Now, Kyler Murray did give fits to Buffalo Bills in the week 1, but I think Buffalo Bills have fixed that, and I think they're playing better on defense. So I don't think it's going to be too much of that issue there. And the way Josh Allen is just playing like a damn madman. He's playing like a madman. He is out there. He wants to win this year. So I think the Buffalo Bills actually win. Like I said, I don't know if it's that sustainable to play the way that Josh Allen plays. Eventually, I think he gets hurt, and because he just plays like a madman. But for this reason, but it's only week 4, so he should be pretty reasonably healthy. So he should play very well. And I think the Buffalo Bills are on a mission this year. They look like they're on a mission, and they're playing very well. They're probably, of all the teams that are undefeated right now, they're probably the most well-rounded team. And I think they do beat Baltimore Ravens. Now, the question is, Baltimore Ravens get away from the rushing attack right away if they're down by a few points, or they still keep it going. I don't think so. I think Buffalo wins this game, and I think Buffalo wins it by 7 points, at least a touchdown. They just look good. They look really, really good. Baltimore Ravens, on the other part, you're not playing the Cowboys again, like I said, so you're not going to rush the way you rush, and we'll see. But you could technically be 3-0. If you're a Ravens fan, the bright spot of it is you could technically be 3-0. I mean, if Lively's foot was a centimeter smaller against Kansas City, you might win that game. And he should have beat the Raiders. And in all honesty, I have no idea what the hell was going on there. I just don't know. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you kind of frustrated, like really frustrated, because the biggest issue that you had last year was finishing games, and you're having that issue again this year. Even like you did beat the Cowboys, you almost lost it there at the end. Like it might have gone 1 or 2 plays the other way, and the Cowboys might have made that comeback and won that game. Which would have been a super meltdown, and I don't know what happens after that. But You still have Lamar Jackson. You still got Derrick Henry. So you still got Justin Tucker that can make kicks. You should be able to make it competitive. And honestly, I'll take it back. I think Buffalo wins this, and it's going to be down to whoever makes the last field goal. It's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. Does Josh Allen has the ball last? He's going to win the game. If Lamar Jackson has the ball last, they might win the game. But I'll still take Buffalo just because Buffalo has it, and Buffalo's doing it right. But that's the game of the week. I'm definitely going to be watching that game from beginning to end. That should be a really good one. That's going to be your Sunday night game. Next one up, for some odd reason, the NFL scheduled another 2 Monday night games, which was kind of hard to watch this past Monday. Well, I was at work too, so that kind of doesn't help. But it was really hard because one game, they kind of almost started at the same time. One starts at 7:30 Eastern, and the other one starts at 8:15 Eastern. So they're like, 45 minutes apart from starting. Now, the good thing is you got a really shitty game, and there's really 2 shitty teams, and you got 2 really good teams. So I would not waste my time with Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. Looks like the Dolphins are down to their 3rd quarterback. Tennessee Titans, on the other hand, have Will Levis. Will Levis, for the love of God, sucks and does weird freaking... just has weird brain farts and just does crazy plays that are not in any kind of way good. Like, he's the opposite of Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen is reckless, but he makes really good plays also. Will Levis just makes terrible plays and just keeps making terrible plays. So no, but you know what? I'm still going to take Tennessee because just being down to your 3rd quarterback is the Miami Dolphins. And they don't look good at all. Of course, they were playing Buffalo last week, but this is 2 ass teams. I won't be surprised if one team, I won't be surprised the Dolphins win. I'm not surprised the Titans win. It's just going to be a game of probably a lot of field goals and a lot of, I'm baffled by this game. This game is terrible. I would not watch it. Just plain and simple. I wouldn't even watch it if I was a fan of both teams. This is a terrible team. There's 2 terrible teams. But I'll take Tennessee. Now, the game that you should be watching and should be putting on Monday night, it should be Seattle Seahawks at Detroit Lions. Seattle, you're finally getting a challenge in this. You're finally week 4. We're going to find out who you really are. Because I think the Detroit Lions are a really good team. They're going to make the playoffs, and they might even make him... I believe I picked them in my Super Bowl team from the NFC. So they're going to be really good. If you beat them, you are for real. If you don't beat them, then I don't know. You're still kind of in the limbo. I still think you're going to be a contender, and I think Seattle could actually still make the playoffs, even if they lose to Detroit this week. I think I take Detroit. Detroit's favored by 3.5 points, and I still take Detroit. I think Detroit's the better team. I think as long as Jared Goff there keeps it to a minimal and keeps playing efficient Jared Goff, not the Jared Goff of the Rams, but the Jared Goff that came into Detroit with Ben Johnson. I think that's going to be they should win this game. They went back to the rushing attack, and they have really good with David Montgomery and Gibbs. So they should be able to exploit a lot of the Seattle's defense, especially now that we know that Leonard Williams and Brian Murphy are out. The rookie from Texas, Brian Murphy, playing really super good. They're both out, so they should be able to rush the ball against them, and they shouldn't be to get pressure too much. Now, again, you are playing Mike McDonald, who is a defensive guru, so that might make it a little difficult. But the Detroit Lions should win this game pretty easily. Geno Smith, it's going to come down to Geno Smith. If he can play well, if he plays great, he might actually pull it and might beat Detroit, but I don't see that. So I'll take Detroit on that one. Those are my picks. Go really quick right through them again. I'm going to take Falcons over Saints, Bengals over Panthers, Rams over Bears, Vikings over Packers, Texans over Jaguars, Steelers over Colts, Jets over Broncos, Bucks over Eagles, Cardinals over Commanders, 49ers over Patriots, Raiders over Browns, Raiders over Browns, Bills over Ravens, and Titans over Dolphins, Lions over Seahawks. That's how I'm going to take there. And that's about it. That's about this quick podcast. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you enjoy some football. Watch some college football too if you get a chance. There's going to be some really good games. on college football. Last week it was pretty bummer, but this week should be some pretty good games. So we should see now and see what happens. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. I know I will. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening.